Bang Taejeo then rushed towards Ryuman to launch a counterattack. But he failed to hit anything. The punch was thrown into this empty space. This man wondered where his target had gone, and then right at the side of his face, a bright light appeared again. The grandson takes another punch, and he can't help but cry. Even though he's clearly at a disadvantage, Bang Taejeo still says that our main character is no match for him. He tries to stop the blood from flowing from his mouth, and his tooth falls out. He got angry and shouted that he would make sure to kill Ryuman. The fat man tried to land another punch, but it was easily dodged. The main character then grabbed his hand and sent it in a different direction. This caused Bang Taejeo to lose his balance and receive another attack. And while all this was happening, other men were watching as Bang Taejeo was punching them. This man thought that Ryuman might have been hitting his face on purpose. He looked at the enemy and saw his face full of arrogance and confidence. Bang Taejeo now wanted to hit this person at least once. He rushed at Ryuman again, but then a strong kick hit the Damapo. Bang Taejeo was sent flying towards the wall. This guy was at his limit. He didn't have enough strength to sustain this fight. Furthermore, the attacks he was receiving were not easy to take. With a more irritated expression, the protagonist asked this polisher if he was hurt. Ryuman remembers the day he saw his younger brother go blind. And of all the regressions he has, this is one of the scenes he will never forget. That's when the fat man asks our main character not to come near him anymore. He protected his neck from another kick and begged Ryuman to stop, but after all the main character did was hold his hand, which confused Bang Taejeo. Ryuman smiled, but now his eyes were full of fear. He explained this was the same reason why he shouldn't have disturbed his little brother. A hint of pain was felt after that statement. The man suddenly just stared. After a few seconds, the pain finally registered in her brain, and she screamed loudly. Many of her fingers were now broken. And while she was still crying over the broken fingers, the main character held her other hand. Bang Taegeok's eyes were full of fear. He kept shouting the word "enough is enough." Seeing this scene, Bang Taegeok's camp also ran away. They knew they would get into trouble if they stayed. Ryuan also turned away because he didn't want to see what his brother was doing to Bang Taegeok. Our main character warned this man again if he ever bothered his younger brother again. I think this is more than enough lesson for today. Bang Taegeok is already regretting his life decisions. All his fingers are broken now. Ryuman smiled when he heard his confirmation. But the scary smile was still on his face. Then he grabbed Bang Taegeok's other arm and broke it again. He said he needed to be sure in case this fat guy ever thought of taking revenge. A loud scream was heard all around. After that encounter with Bang Taegeok, the brothers casually left the scene. Ryuan asked his older brother how he did that. He thought maybe he learned some martial arts or something. But our main character denied it and told him that it was because he was already a player. The stats can be used to boost their abilities in real life. And to really convince his brother, Ryuman tried to summon the weapon he had obtained in the last round. A bright golden light appeared and gradually became whole. Ryuan was shocked when a dark and sharp dagger actually appeared. This man was now beaming with amazement. Ryuman also added that all players could summon their weapons like this. And this was the time when Ryuan realized why his older brother could move so fast because of these stats. He didn't even have a hard time dodging all those attacks. The main character revealed that he was able to move like that because his dexterity stat was already at 11. Normal people only had about 3, and athletes had about 10. Ryuan asked what happened when his level increased, but his brother pretended not to know because he had not reached that point yet. This person was now willing to lie about this information because of what happened in his previous regression. During his 11th regression, he told his younger brother that he was a regressor, and this put Ryuan in danger. He was kidnapped by several players in order to control our main character. Even though he saved him before, he didn't want Ryuan to experience that trauma again. Staring at his brother, Ryuman thought that he should be more prepared to protect him from other players. To start things off, he asked this person if he wanted to have breakfast at the convenience store. Ryuan happily accepted the invitation, so they went inside the shop. The younger brother caught Ryuman's attention as he headed in a different direction. He pointed out that the cup noodles were in that direction, but our main character first headed to the ATM to withdraw money. As he pressed them, he thought that this was all he had saved so far. It was a total of 133,201. This was only around 100 cent Eustachius and Sabas. Ryuman withdrew 100,001. Ryuan was shocked to see that his brother had withdrawn so much money. This was the truth that these two brothers lived a poor life. Our main character just told him that he would need it later. Meanwhile, he asked Ryuan what he wanted to eat. This man hesitated to say what he liked because all the food in this place was expensive. but his older brother assured him that he would get all the food he wanted. This was Ryuman's way of making up to him because he only had 1 cup of noodles last night. Even then, he was still hesitant because they might run out of money in the coming days. When everything was in order, Ryuan got this chili pork belly. He said he had been wanting to eat it for a long time, and his face showed happiness. He smiled at our main character, and then he told Ryuan that they should eat Hano beef sometime in order. Ryuan felt awkward again after hearing this. He told his brother that this chili pork belly was enough for him. Meanwhile, in this man's mind, in a few days they would be able to eat whatever they wanted. After a while, the two of them were eating their breakfast. The pork belly looked really delicious. Ryuan then took his first bite. His face was red from the deliciousness. And while they were eating, Ryuman stood up and told his younger brother that he just had to do something. Ryuan just stared at his brother and watched where he was going. A few seconds later, our protagonist returned with a pen in hand. Ryuan was shocked to see that his brother had bought so many lottery tickets. All the remaining money they had was spent on buying 20 tickets. The younger brother was shocked because it would be 100,000 won. But while this person was panicking, our main character just continued to choose all the numbers he could remember. He ordered Ryuo to just wait. Ryuo was even more confused when he saw what his brother was doing with the tickets. Our main character picked the same numbers over and over again. He just smiled and announced that he did it because they were the winning numbers. That evening, the siblings returned to their apartment. Ryuo, excitedly glued to his phone, was busy watching the lottery draw for that day. Biting his nails in nervousness, he wondered if they had just thrown away 100,000 won. Despite Ryuman's reprimands about this behavior, Ryuo couldn't contain his excitement as the numbers were drawn. The host's voice blared through the room, announcing the first number, 3, followed by 18. The third number, 9, blared again, then 3 8s, the air filled with tension as the number 5 came out, 21, followed by 1. Every number matched the ones Ryuan had picked earlier. As the seconds passed, the screen displayed the last 6 lucky numbers, 3, 18, 9, 38, 21, and 1. Interestingly, they didn't need the bonus number because all 6 matched our main character's picks. In disbelief, Ryuman exclaimed that this was crazy. He couldn't believe that Ryuan's intuition about buying lottery tickets was right. His eyes gradually filled with tears. He even asked his brother to pinch him because he thought it was just a dream. But our main character just smiled at his brother and confirmed that it was real. Ryuman teased him and asked if he would rather this was just a dream. A few more confirmations were needed for Ryuan to truly believe. He stood up and held up the tickets they had bought. He screamed with joy. But his celebration was cut short because our main character advised him to be quiet. Their neighbors might hear him. Ryuman was overjoyed to see his younger brother like this. He thought he had reacted the same way the first time he bought lottery tickets. He also screamed and celebrated all night, but as he kept coming back, this had become the kind of annual event he was obligated to do. This is all because he will eventually need a lot of money. The loss of population by 60% in just one night has really affected the economy of all countries around the world, and soon, trading items between players will also be available, all of which will be done on a cash basis. Ryuan then asks his brother how much they will get after all the tickets are exchanged, and is given an uncertain answer. Our main character's only concern is that this amount of money will be enough for them to shake the world. The next day, Ryuman goes to the front of the Nongya Bank building. Because he had already won it many times, he was not nervous as he walked towards the teller. He then approached this individual and casually told him to come here to claim the first-place lottery prize. Upon hearing this statement, this person immediately greeted our main character. But as he stared at Ryuman, he thought that this man looked like a high school student. Then he asked our main character about the shop where he bought the ticket. And he answered by saying QS24 shop, the Hue branch. His answer surprised the man. He remembered what his colleague had shared with him about the number of winning tickets in this round. There were 115 of them. This person said that what was most crazy was that all 100 tickets were purchased in one store. Then, he got the idea that only one person bought all the tickets that day. Whatever the case, he was advised that whoever claims the winnings in this store, they should be treated like a very important person. This person was interrupted by our main character as he was seen lost in his thoughts. He quickly apologized and asked Ryuman to just wait a moment. A few moments later, someone else entered and greeted our main character. He introduces himself as Guan Junho, the president of Nongya Bank. The bank president personally congratulates our main character for winning a lot of lottery tickets. He also congratulates him on the process. Ryuman was then invited to another quieter area and asked to follow the president. President Juno led him to this room where the proper department would be handling the lottery winnings. They entered the room and were immediately greeted by a lady. This one wondered who this person was next to the president. He thought it might be his son. But his question was immediately answered when the president introduced Ryuman as one of their VIPs who had come in to collect his prize. He also told the lady that he should make her comfortable in everything. The employee became even more nervous when he learned that this person had only won 100 lottery tickets at one time. Then he composed himself and tried to remain calm. After that, he offered Ryuman a seat. He also asked him if he wanted to drink anything, but our main character just wanted to get his winning prize right away. As part of the process, she would first confirm the lottery tickets. Ryuman quickly handed her the tickets. There were indeed a lot of them, and as she inspected them, the woman couldn't help but think that this was a fake. This was the very first time he had encountered something like this. He even thought that maybe this man could see the future. After a while, he confirmed them and told our main character that they were all true. Ryuman asked him how much he would receive, and just thinking about the number made him shudder. Our protagonist waited patiently for his response, and it was revealed to be around 22.5 billion won. That's over $16 million. After taxes, our main character took home a whopping 15 billion won. It all happened so quickly after he collected his prize. Ryuman was busy buying a new house for them. That night, he also opened a stock trading account. At this time of year, Bitcoin is expected to rise by 500%. So he planned to invest in stocks after increasing his money with Bitcoin. A few days later, the two talked about their future plans. Ryuman saw some pictures of their new house. He said that he had only seen these kinds of big and expensive houses in pictures. But one thing struck Ryuman, and that was the fact that his brother chose to rent this house rather than buy it, even though they had more than enough to pay for it in cash. After it was revealed to him that they had no money left, his very smart and intelligent older brother invested everything in Bitcoin. He set aside all 14 million won. Ryuman stopped, seemingly not knowing what to do. He was stunned and couldn't answer anything. Ryuman assured him that he just had to trust him because he already knew a few things. This person also prepared some kind of backup plan in case he got lucky. He revealed that he still had 4 sets of numbers that he had seen in his dream, and he would just buy tickets again if that happened. Ryuman's eyes narrowed as he realized that he had only seen people dreaming of lucky numbers on TV. He didn't even think that those were true. He shook his brother and told him not to forget those numbers no matter what. In Ryuman's mind, he couldn't forget those numbers even if he wanted to because he had done it so many times. After that, the older brother was told that they should launch and prepare to leave. He was stunned and asked Ryuman where they were going. The man smiled and announced that today was the day they were flying. Meanwhile, somewhere in this random area, a punch was felt on the wall. It was so strong that it even created cracks from the force of its impact. This attack was from Ryuman. He smiled as he thought that putting all his stat points into strength was indeed the best choice. Furthermore, the rune he had obtained from the angel was the rune of strength. Because of this, the amount of his strength had been doubled, resulting in him having this kind of power. Staring at the cracks he had made in the wall, he thought that even Mike Tyson would be jealous after seeing a punch this powerful. Ryuman was even more excited when he thought that he should try using his newfound power in an actual fight. Later that day, the would-be gangster knocked on Ryuman's door. Ryuman was getting annoyed because no one was answering, not even answering his calls. His gut feeling told him that his servant was still alive. He then remembered the night he saw Ryuman before the New Year event. He thought that he would never let this matter go, especially since the main character was staring at him like he was trash. The anger he felt increased even more when he remembered that memory. He said that now he would kill him. In his mind, even though Ryuman had become a player, that cowardly servant was still weak and needed to be taught a lesson. Youngman thought that the main character would naturally hide inside his house. But even with these aggressive knocks, no one answered. He suddenly stopped while thinking of a plan. He said he would accompany her to the door and deliberately commented that since Ryuman wasn't inside, he would leave for now. Youngman was now waiting to hear even a single breath from inside. He was about to break down the door immediately, but his attention shifted to this old man who asked him what he was doing in front of his neighbor's door. This man really had this rough attitude and asked the old man why he was interfering. Youngman wondered if this old man was the owner or what, and then this individual confirmed it. He was indeed the landlord. The old man asked Youngman if he was there to meet a friend, and to get this convenient companion, he agreed and pretended to be a friend of the main character. Youngman even asked if he could open the house. He said that he had no contact with his friend, so he went in to see what had happened to him. But the old man revealed that his friend had left him. The owner added that the room was now empty, and the student who used to live there had moved to another place. The only problem was that he had no idea where. This situation made Youngmin even angrier. He thought Ryumin had run away without saying anything. Meanwhile, the person they were talking about was now standing in front of this beautiful and tall skyscraper. Ryuan commented that it was too high. The man was even more amazed when they entered the building through the revolving doors. He also watched his brother collect the special entry cards given to the building owners. His astonishment increased even more when he saw a security guard confirm their identities. This was the first time in his entire life. While they were inside the elevator, Ryuan added that this place was very beautiful. The place they would now call home was on the 4th and 3rd floors of the building. The two arrived at the place and were greeted by this spacious place. Everything inside was new as well. Ryuan also found out that this place was over 330 square meters. As they inspected all of its areas, Ryuan commented that this place was too big for just the two of them. The contract for the place was 500 million won in deposits and 22 million won per month. That price was over 16,000 US dollars. And upon hearing this, Ryuan lost all his strength. He remembered the time when they were worried about spending 5,000 won at a convenience store. The younger brother suggested that they just get a cheaper house. But our main character disagreed. He revealed that the more they paid, the better the security, and that's all that mattered now. And that's because every first day of the month, players are in a state of sleep, and this is the time when all players are at their weakest. Natural disasters are a real threat. Furthermore, there are times when assassins are hired by other players, and so, when the time comes, the players need to be in a very safe place. Ryumin knows that no matter how strong the players are in the game, it will all end if they die in real life. After checking every part of the house, Ryumin asks his younger brother if he really wants it here. And his answer was yes. The main character then commented that he was happy because Ryuan liked it. But looking at his brother's face, Ryuan thought of something. His face showed concern. He also fell silent. After a few seconds, this man suddenly apologized to the main character. And that was because he felt guilty for putting his older brother in danger of his life every first day of the month, while he was just here enjoying all the good things in life. But this sadness inside was really unnecessary for now. Ryumin quickly patted her shoulder. Then he assured her that Ryuan didn't need to be sad because he would definitely come back every time. And to brighten up the atmosphere, our main character invites his sister to eat at the Korean Clay on the 2nd floor. While Ryumin is waiting, our main character's phone rings and he looks at it. He sees that Min has finally noticed that he has moved to another place. She also decided to ignore his calls because they would never meet again in real life. But it would be different in the afterlife. Their fate was destined to meet again. The day after moving in, Ryumin was still yawning as he walked out of his room. He saw his younger brother getting ready to leave. The man revealed that he had just ordered rice cakes, so he was going to get them. Ryumin's statement confused our main character. Why rice cakes? This event has not yet occurred. Returning does not mean that all things will happen the same way, but it was still a 9 trigger for Ryumin. He then asked his younger brother why he had bought some rice cakes and learned that Ryuan had planned to give them to their new neighbors. This giving was a common courtesy for Koreans. Our main character also thought that being a good neighbor wasn't such a bad idea. Then Ryuhan was praised for his good thinking. Ryuhan was about to leave, but our main character suggested that he go with him and hand out the rice cakes together. And just like that, they started ringing the doorbells of their 2 neighbors. They also introduced themselves and greeted them with their warm and sweet smiles. The first neighbor to open was this old woman. He quickly noticed that the 2 were brothers because they looked exactly alike. Then the rice cakes were given. This was the beginning of their good relationship with each other. Ryumin showed his good manners to the strangers in front of him. This action continued for a while. Ryumin always smiled while holding those rice cakes, and the same goes for our main character. This boy even returned the favor and politely accepted the rice cake. After a while, there was only one place left, and it was on the 44th floor. These 2 are eager to get everything done so they can relax. And on their way to the last neighbor, our main character shares that the person who owns the floor bought both the 44th and 45th. That means whoever this person is really very rich. Our main character then tries to remember the details, and all he can remember is that the person who lives here is a celebrity. Ryuan rings the doorbell, but no one answers. He thinks they might not be inside. He thought maybe they weren't inside, and since they were here, it wouldn't hurt to try again. But after a few seconds, Ryuhan gave up. He suggested they just go back to their house, but then he noticed something. This man recognized someone heading in their direction. The person the siblings saw was none other than the most famous celebrity in all of Korea right now. This woman right here was Soren, and she was considered one of the most beautiful actresses in the entire country. That's all for today, guys. See you on the next upload.